Kristen, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Good. So, do you need me to go over everything again? I can
Well,
give you a,
what I need you to do is give me enough to give me a question, and maybe I can help you
right.
in some way. Unfortunately, we
Okay,
don't have
right,
long time. But what's going on?
right. No, just because of the screening that, I don't know how the show works. Okay, in any case, I'm a single mom. I had to leave my husband, who was not safe, and
How old are your kids?
I have one child who's 10. Yeah.
10.
So,
Okay.
I've been out of the marriage for 2 years, and I had to go back to the workforce because I was stay-at-home mom. And initially, I landed like the best job ever, and then COVID hit, and I lost my job because it's in the hospitality industry. So lost the job, and now I, by the grace of God, got another job, and I'm grateful for being able to work, but at the same time, I'm not happy where I'm working. So I'm a bit challenged. When I lost the first job, my son said, "Mommy, it's okay. Now you can follow your dreams," And I was like, wow, like, I don't even know where to begin with that. Married for 20 years, mom, wife, and now I'm like out of that, not out of the mom phase, obviously, but out of the wife phase. And now I'm like, okay, I'm in the workforce. Like now I can kind of like take a step back and think about, what do I really want to do? And I really don't know where to begin.
And also your son's getting to the age where, and this blew me away. The kids are all, they're for the first however long, their eyes are turned towards you and turned towards the home. And there's a switch that goes off. He's going to do a U-turn and everything is going to be out there with his friends and activities and all that. So you're also at a time coming up in a year or two where you're going to be asked to do a lot less. And in other words, you're going to have a lot more energy to do this with. It's okay. So a lot of things are coming together for that season. So your question is, where does one start with something like that?
I think so. I think I really, if I have to really sit back and think like, okay, what do I really love? What would I really be great at as far as
question.
like, work goes or just in life? Like my talents, like I know what I like to do. I'm very social. I'm very, I like to engage. I love, I've got a great network and all of that. But I don't know. Like when he said, "Now you can follow your dreams," my imagination went blank.
Well, you know what? Could be a lot of reasons for that. Let me start with that. Sometimes when we are we're called on to use different faculties that we have. Okay, you called it your imagination. We can call it dreams. We can call it vision. A lot of different stuff. Okay, but basically what you're talking about here that you're trying to get in touch with is you're trying to get in touch with a particular kind of desire, and the desire is an energy, and the desire is a want to. I had a friend who used to call it her want tos. When she was depressed, she would say, "I can't find my want tos," and then when her depression would lift, then she goes, "I woke up, I've got my want tos. I want to do this and I want to do that." And she'd go into all these a lot of charitable activities for her. But the point is this desire that we have, this want to. One of my favorite verses is in Proverbs, and it says that a person's heart determines their path. and then God directs your steps. Okay? You follow me? Are you with me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
here's something I would want you to look at first is you have been through some things in at least in adult life. Now, don't know about before you were married, but if you had a marriage where you had to escape to survive, then that's not an environment. How old are you?
I'm 46.
Okay. And you were married how long?
We were together for 20, but married for 15.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you're talking about if, I'm going to just make some assumptions here that this was
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
this was not Prince Charming for 20 years who all of a sudden went bad. Okay, this is a self-centered guy that you had for 20 years, right?
Yeah. He was leading a double life for a long time that I didn't realize.
Okay. So
Yeah.
here's the deal. There's not a lot of space in a relationship like that for you,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So let's just start with the fact that you are 20 years at least, and we don't know what it's like before then. I don't know what your home life was like growing up and how your parents nurtured your
Mhm.
desires and your dreams and all that kind of stuff. But we
Mhm.
know for at least 20 years, and now you got a kid for the last 10, for at least 20 years, it hasn't been about you.
Right.
You're out of practice. You're out of practice of getting in touch with, I want to. I want to. Because there's always been somebody else that you've been adapting to. You follow me?
Yeah. 100%. Yes.
Okay.
I
So,
haven't thought of it that way.
well, let's think about it this way because this is a really good way to
Yeah.
think about it.
Yep.
Because
Right.
we're talking about an ability here. Oh my gosh, what a timely call! I don't know if you heard my intro, but when I said take responsibility, I said it's ownership and it's the ability to respond. All right, so go back on the chain of what I just outlined in the beginning. I want you to go back because you were on hold and maybe didn't hear it. But what I said was the first thing we have to do is take ownership of our lives in order to have the ability to respond to life, right? Okay, so
Mhm. Mhm.
you haven't been able to own, it sounds like, to own your desires for a long time. You've been adapting to problematic stuff, your husband and his duplicity and self-centeredness, all this. So you're coming to me with a question of, well, uh, how do I find what I want to do? I think that's step number two. Okay. I
Mhm.
think step number one, to get to the answer to that, step number one is let's draw this circle around you, okay, around Kristen, and this is Kristen, and let's really find a
Okay.
space to get in touch with before you think about doing anything, a job to do this or a time, before you think about that, let's get in touch with a space to find you and what turns you on.
Mhm.
Okay, now here's what I mean by that, and I want a lot of people to hear this. There is, we find the best spaces in life to really either work or avocation or volunteer or hobbies or whatever it is. Doesn't have to be for a career, but it's basically three things. When a when a love for something and an ability to be able to do that somewhat well, and it meets a need in the world. Three factors: a love for something, an ability to do it, and it meets a need in the world. When those three come together, boom, everything goes crazy. Okay. Now, what you had a little while ago was you had a love for hospitality, right? And you said you're
Yes.
good at it. You said, I had my dream job, is I think it's the word you used, man. And there was a need in
I
the
did.
world. Well, what happened? What happened? The need fell off. And so now we're stuck, right? So you got to have all three. But I want you to start with the first one. And here's what I suggest to a lot of people. And I've seen this. This happened in my own life. I was an accounting and finance major in college, and when I was also an athlete, and then I had injury. I wasn't playing well, couldn't play anymore, and I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. And I'm an accounting and finance major, and I'm going through all of that. And I started to notice something. I'd come to faith in a deeper way, and I'd be in a small group or a Bible study, or I'd be reading books about theology or learning something. I noticed something that every time I looked at that topic, or every time I read something about a psychological or interpersonal dynamic in the Bible or in a psychology book, I noticed something. Or every time this would happen too, every time we sat down and started processing life, I noticed something, that something came alive in me that I never had really felt before in any kind of topic or something. And I noticed this kept happening. And then I'd find myself gravitating and reaching for that book instead of Golf Digest, or that book instead of something else. And I just want you to begin to own these little awakenings in you. When you have 15 minutes, you don't have to pay attention to your son. What magazine do you pick up? When you're scrolling through the different kind of shows on TV or in the paper or on web pages, when do you feel that little bump? Okay. And I want you to pay attention to those kinds of fantasies, because a person's heart leads them down a path, and then God directs their steps. And so then we start walking further into that, and that's when things usually happen. But I want you to find you first and what turns you on in the little fantasies. When you're at a stoplight, what do you find yourself thinking about? It's not
Mm.
worrisome, but invigorating. Watch for those and follow them and see where they take you. That's
Thank
my
you.
suggestion. All righty. And you
Thank
know what? There may be some pain covering that up. So make sure you've dealt with all of that stuff that you went through as well.
Mm.
And say hi to your son. I love sons that turn to their mamas and say, now you can follow your dreams, Mom. What a great kid that is. Thank you for your call. Don't you wish, all you parents out there, what if all your kids walked in today and say, Mom, today let's go follow your dreams. What can we do? Mom, Dad, what can we do to make your life better today? Why don't we get those kids coming off the assembly line?